Hey guys, welcome back to Pro Row 784. I'm out here with Brandon tonight. Tonight's going to be a podcast. We're going to discuss the Talladega race, Brandon.
Yep.
And how Brandon did, that kind of stuff. And then discuss how we got there, how we got back, what ended up happening over the weekend. Going to talk about Brandon's race, how it all went. And there's some interesting things that happened during the race. And
it looks like a bunch of questions.
And then we got, and then I went online, Brandon, and I asked, I had like 4 or 5 questions or whatever that some of the YouTube watchers or viewers sent in to me, and then I went on Facebook or something and asked, and then next thing you know, so we got a total of 10 questions, okay, that we're going to ask. So we're going to try to speed up a little bit and try to keep this under 30 minutes. In fact, I didn't start the clock, but I'm going to try to keep it under 30 minutes if we can. It may go a little bit over, but because we got a lot of exciting stuff to do. So So how you been, Brandon, after you got the big Talladega win?
Been pretty good. Obviously, that helped getting the win. It makes life a little bit more fun, I guess you would say. But I feel really good. Obviously, very happy with where I'm at. Very comfortable. And, yeah, I mean, nothing's changed in my program. Everything stayed the same. Just excited to go racing again, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. We got like a 2-weekend break. Hey,
I know.
Can you find the clock on that damn thing?
I know, right when we...
Get everything going. So all season long so far, we've had 3 rounds of racing, and Brandon and I felt that we're just a little bit behind on a few things. We've not got everything done that we really want to get done for our race team, that kind of stuff. I mean, outfitting the trailer, the ATVs. We just feel like we're behind.
Just being 100% prepared. We're close, but even now we're still not even 100% where we want to be yet. So
yeah. So but getting the win, that was a big confidence booster for sure.
Yes.
So Brandon, we leave out of here on, we left on Wednesday.
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night because our good friends Chris Wilson, Austin Wilson, he races schoolboy or what they call them, All-Stars now. Anyway, they said, hey man, so what, I'm always down to something good to eat and something different and that kind of stuff. So they said, yeah, we're going to plan on leaving, even though it's like a 9-hour ride,
Yeah, it wasn't a bad ride.
Yeah, 612 miles, I think it was, from our house, Talladega from our house. So anyway, they said, hey, we're leaving Wednesday night. Do you guys want to go up and we'll stay at like a campground? And right beside the campground, there's a place called Carol's Sausage, right off of I-75.
Yep.
So we decided we did that. So we drove until, I don't know, about 10:30. Yep. Got there about 10:30 Wednesday night, camped out in the motorhome, woke up the following morning. Chris Wilson and his wife and Austin had gotten there. So we went out and went to Carol's Sausage. And this place is a meat market.
It's a meat market / kind of grocery store, kind of like what would you call it?
All homegrown stuff. I don't know what,
like homegrown stuff.
All the honey comes from the local area. Anyway, we got a package or something with smoked sausage, and their biggest thing is smoked sausage, and they got all kinds of flavors. So we got that. We got some hamburger meat, some smoked sausage,
it was cool.
Biscuits. Got some biscuits, some homemade biscuits, and that kind of stuff. Got some potatoes and all that. So we did not eat there. They only had like breakfast sandwiches there. So we did not eat there.
It was more of a grocery store is what it was.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, but the meat is packaged in the old wax paper.
Yeah, it was a meat market. I mean, the meat area you could tell it was fresh meat, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I'm glad we stopped there. Anyway, bought us a big, nice package of meat, and then we moseyed on our way up to to the eat place. Can't think of it.
Cracker Barrel?
Cracker Barrel. So we got Cracker Barrel that morning, ate Cracker Barrel, and we moseyed on way to Talladega, got to Talladega, and Chris and him had left before we did. They didn't stop and eat. So they got there and said, man, there's already lines of people. We're like, oh my goodness. Yeah. And when we got there, Brandon, we swung in there.
Yep.
There was 3 lines probably.
Yeah, it was packed.
It looked like
busy.
It looked like Indiana. So there were 3 lines, and fortunately for us, and we're extremely blessed, and we thank Gncc for allowing us to do this. I know it's aggravating to even say this for other people, but they allowed us to go.
They allow pro riders to go in early to get set up and that kind of thing. Like you see most of the pro rows when everybody gets there, like the dirt bike even pro row, they're all set up and ready to go. When the other campers, it's just easier for us to finagle in, get set up on pro row, how we're supposed to be, and that kind of thing. So it makes the pros' life a little bit easier if you can get there earlier and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so we did. We got in there and we got all set up and everything, and got our really nice tent set up that Elite Graphics built us and made us and all that kind of stuff. So so we were excited. So we you get up Friday morning and man, what a beautiful morning.
Yeah,
And
the weather the whole weekend was phenomenal.
wonderful.
Well, I say that.
Well,
Sunday it looked
worse.
terrible.
Yeah.
But for us, Friday, Saturday, it was beautiful. We couldn't ask for more better weather.
Yeah, so you go bicycle track. What was your first impressions of the after you got done bicycle, or you was during bicycling the track? What'd you think? The facility was
The property was amazing.
Yeah.
All gravel road, almost everywhere you go. Really, really cool property. Obviously, right across from Talladega Motor Speedway.
Yes.
So you can see that across the track, even in some spots. But yeah, we go bike. I actually bike with Caden Wharf, his dad, Matt, and a bunch of the 4x4 Pro guys. Actually, Brandon Reed, all them guys, and so did that and. Not my kind of flavor of track when I bike it. I like fast, flowy kind of stuff, like most of y'all know. This track was definitely not that. It was tight, which I expected because it's a fresh track. Never really ever been ridden on or any of that kind of stuff. So it wasn't bad, but I wasn't too excited for it because I don't like tight stuff normally. I don't like stuff that doesn't flow well and all that kind of stuff. So I was excited for the new property, new venue, and that kind of thing, but was I excited for the track specifically? No, because it doesn't suit my kind of riding style. But after that, get done biking the track, and I don't know.
So you come back to the pit area, and I'm like, well, what you think? Usually Brandon's like, I got it. I don't like a couple of areas here and there, but Brandon's like, nope, don't like it. I'm like, oh my God. I said, Brandon, and I looked at you. And I said, Brandon, every time you say that, the track turns out to be a pretty good track, and you usually do good at it. So anyway, but no, and you knew, and we knew that the track was probably going to have some challenging areas, but but I'll tell you, it dressed up pretty good. So you got done doing that. We ended up eating dinner, ate some of those steaks and potatoes that we got from Carol Sausage.
It was actually really, really good.
Really, really good. And so across the street, they decided they was going to put on a sprint car race.
Yes.
A World of Outlaw race.
Wow.
And
that was amazing and impressive in its own. That was really cool to experience that.
Yeah, so we decided we're going to go over there to watch a little bit or whatever, and along with a lot of others. That place was packed out.
It was busy.
So good to see that short track racing. So this is like a 3/8 high bank dirt track. The World of Outlaws were there. I guess they had 30-something cars there or whatever.
There was a lot.
Packed.
It was packed.
24 made the field. So we drive up there, we get out of the vehicle, and all of a sudden you just hear engines like, they're just bowling down the straightaway.
That was cool.
And me and Brandon both, we couldn't make a beeline any faster to the dang pit window. And so anyway, got our ticket and walked up there, and we just wanted to see what was going on. And got our ticket there, watched a few laps of qualifying, then we decided to go down in the pit area, and thank God we did. I got a picture with Donnie Schatz, and one of my heroes from back in the day, and it was kind of interesting because it's really, really fast paced.
Yeah, them guys are going 100 mile an hour all the time. It looked like,
and it didn't look
maybe not the driver specifically, but the crew, and then the driver on the racetrack, obviously. But dude, the crew is always working on stuff. They're changing stuff.
But it didn't look like they had 3 or 4 guys per team.
No,
they didn't look
but
like
they were
had an army.
very
efficient,
very organized.
To tell the viewers what we saw, the one guy nutting bolting right before the race.
Yep.
What ended up happening?
Yeah, the torque wrench on everything. I mean, it was nuts.
And literally had a handful of tools.
Yeah.
It's like every damn bolt
everything
on it
was like the same size.
Yeah.
It was cool to see the guy pretty much go over. It looked like almost every bolt.
Every
in the
nut and bolt. And he did it within 3 minutes.
Yeah, he rocked out on it and had the torque specs already set up. It was cool to see how efficient, how planned everything was.
So we got done doing that. But we ended up leaving early. We didn't watch the entire race. Dusty than hell.
Yeah, it was dusty.
Man, it was so dusty. We should have brought your goggles, your Scott goggles, but we didn't. So we didn't end up staying. We wanted to get back. We was with some folks that wanted to get back also. So wake up Saturday morning, another gorgeous morning. We make our eggs and let's see, you got eggs and we made bacon and whatever. So we ended up eating, and you went up and watched a little bit of the youth race and that kind of stuff, just to watch how things would materialize.
Figured out where we're gonna pit, that kind of stuff.
Figured out where we was pitting at.
Came back and started getting ready.
And prep the ATV and ready to go. Next thing you know, you head to the starting line. It's go time.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited, a little nervous, probably more nervous than I've been at any race just because of the prestige. And I knew you didn't like the track, that kind of stuff. I thought maybe the start would be pretty important because of what you was saying, that kind of stuff. So I was a little concerned of where the hell I was going to be at during the race because I had not ventured off. I had tons and tons of people come by our pit area. Same deal. They parked us across from the pro ATVs in the afternoon.
Yep.
It was wonderful. The WXC was down there. The pro women were there, pro 4x4, and then all the top 20 in the pro ATVs in the afternoon was parked on the other side. And we had a lot of fans come by and see us and all that, and met some new ones too.
Yeah.
And I can't remember all you guys' name, but I thank you guys for coming by, and very excited that you support our channel. So, all right, talk about your race. So your race, you get called out, and the number one, champion from Avon Park. So here you go. So you end up lining in second because
I'm second in points.
You're second in points, so you end up getting called second. So what was your strategy? Was there any strategy going in where you parked at? What you was looking at?
Not really.
How did it turn out?
There's not really a strategy at any race. I mean, you try to figure out the best line and you try to get what you think's best. Everybody has a different opinion on where they want to line up and that kind of thing, inside, outside. It just kind of depends on where the next guy lines up and where you line up. It all changes anyway. Yeah. So, but yeah, I lined up right next to Cody Collier, and I felt like I had a good spot, and ended up my bike just seemed like it didn't fire as quick.
Seemed like
as
it rolled over twice or something.
And normally this thing starts right up, but it seemed like it rolled over maybe once, and then it got rolling, and we were still up in the front, and I was gonna be like around third is what I planned on being, or what it looked like going in the first corner, and ended up getting a really good line coming out of the first corner actually, and that put me up to second, and then challenging for the lead. So then we went challenging for the lead for the going into the woods, and me and Caden got into it a little bit. Ended up giving Cody the lead, and put me back to third, which I was going to start there anyway, but I had a couple good lines, and still ended up there anyway. But it's fine. I knew we had a field section coming up that I'm normally pretty good at in fields. The bike handles really good in fields and stuff like that. So I knew I could probably make a pass there if I had to, and that's exactly what I did. So made a pass into second. Sitting right behind Cody. Cody ended up making a mistake right there before we entered the woods after the field. So that put me right back on his bumper essentially. And essentially from there, I held on to Cody's rear bumper. I was comfortable where I was at. I wasn't pushing the pace. The track was very, very slick, which I knew it was going to be the first lap because all the pine needles, stuff like that was just sitting on the track that the track hasn't never been raced on before. So I knew it was going to be fresh, slick, that kind of thing, and I didn't want to make any mistakes. So I was real patient those first couple laps, and first lap and a half, and Cody ended up pitting, I believe this halfway through this second lap, and that gave me the lead. So then I got the lead. So then at that point I was like, I really want to start pushing a little bit more. So we did, and ended up really getting away right there, and we ended up pitting the following lap, which would have been the third lap.
Yeah.
And the track started coming to me. Normally I don't like tight, like back and forth stuff, and man, I just felt good in it. It just, everything was working really well. I found the flow of the racetrack, which it seems like a lot of people had difficulties finding that. I seemed to find it. I was running the edge. I was running really good, and I was confident in what I was doing. I didn't make any mistake all day long, and I mean, essentially, that was the gist of the race. I mean, I felt really confident on the bike, and it just felt good to feel like that. And then that last lap, I know some of y'all seen it on the GoPro footage, getting up to that bottleneck, that was nuts.
Yeah,
man, dude, that was.
I've got a question to ask you about that.
That was scary. Going around there and seeing that, it was pretty crazy. But ended up getting through that cleanly, and then finishing off the race in first place. Yeah,
and it was actually the first win you've taken with you being the number one on your plate. So which is pretty cool. And then it's Talladega.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, Brandon got up on the podium, and if you guys watched our video, you can go back and watch the video. So you got up on the podium and tried to explain the race, sort of like you just explained it to us here. Pretty eventful for the most part.
I mean, I don't know. I just felt really good on the bike. There's really no other explaining it. I just felt good. It was my race to lose kind of thing. I knew I would be really hard to beat once I got the lead. I just felt really confident in everything I was doing.
Yeah. So you get up on the podium and do all that, and we get everything loaded up, and we're like, yep, we are getting a picture in front of the Talladega Super Speedway sign.
That was the plan before the race even started. If we ended up winning the race, we're going to go take a picture in front of the Talladega sign, and which
God
we
bless
did.
it, we did too.
And we went and took a picture. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yep.
I've never seen I've never watched a race in person at the Talladega Super Speedway. But man,
Watched it on TV a bunch of times.
yeah, but
Obviously,
I do want to go back and watch one because that facility is second to none. And hopefully GNCC and we're all welcome back, and that would be cool. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So that was very, 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 very interesting. What was the dirt like? I mean, being that we're
I don't know. I wouldn't consider it like South Carolina, but it is very similar. Very similar to the Georgia track. It
wasn't clayish.
It wasn't like a super clay. It more had a dirt base to it.
Yes.
Instead of it being clay, but it had that slickness feel of clay. So it was really interesting. It's dirt I've never really raced before on. It was different. It gripped you in some areas really slick. So
yeah, and even when I was walking the track, I mean, that's probably third lap in. I mean, there's roots everywhere out there.
Yes,
and
I think that was the main course of that was because it was a fresh track.
Yeah,
we had trees everywhere,
yes.
the roots and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
just a fresh track. When you dig it up, there's roots all in the ground. So.
Yeah, but it was a great time, man. We had a good time. We had a wonderful time, and the ride home was eventless. We didn't have nothing happen.
Yep. Everything went really good.
So,
we got home and got the bike all cleaned up, and it's sitting over there right now, ready to go.
Yeah. So Brandon, you ran what we call the blue bike. So the first couple of races you ran what we call the purple bike, which is our newest quad.
Yep.
And we knew that we wanted to run this blue bike, which is last year's ATV, at some of these races, and also to make it easier on us. So
the reason we pick a few races because we think one bike handles a little bit better than the other. It's interesting. You build the bikes exactly the same, they handle different. I promise you. So we kind of test that and figure out what bike we think would handle best here and there and that kind of thing. And that's how we kind of base our and choose what four-wheel we're going to race.
Yeah, and so Camp Coker, we're going to run the purple bike.
Yep.
Which is the same quad that we ran in Florida. So,
and obviously the main reason why we did the Florida Georgia split or the Florida Alabama split is because we only have a week
back to back. Yeah.
So there's only a week between there to prep. One four-wheeler is going to be tough, so that's why we get both bikes kind of prepared the week before, and so it's a lot easier for us.
Yeah, so it worked out good. Our plan sort of worked, you know what I mean? We're still devastated over that damn cable coming loose, but anyway, we know what happened, and
it won't happen again.
It won't happen again. So we took extreme measures on this blue bike for that not to happen. So that's not going to happen. So I want to go through these questions. So we're about 15, 16 minutes in. I don't want to get crazy with this, and just want to try to answer some of these questions, and because I think it's important to include the viewers in what we do here, because it's all about them. So your race was awesome and all that stuff, and they could go back and watch the video or whatever, you know what I mean? But that there's specific things that some people want to know. I have tried to answer a lot of them on YouTube. We had a lot of comments. So I'll be so let's get started. So there's 10 of them. So we're going to try to bust through these right quick. So only a couple 3 minutes apiece, okay?
All right.
So the first question is a viewer wants to know, what air pressures do you run in your tires?
So that's a good question. Depending on the race, depending on the conditions, if it's muddy, rocky, sand, all of it kind of changes. It doesn't vary that much. I mean, our go-to tire pressure is going to be 4. That's kind of our go-to. It's either a little bit lower or a little bit higher depending on the racetrack. But that's normally our go-to is around 4.
Yeah, and also it depends on, you're running GBC tires.
Yes.
With tire spines.
Every tire and tires
inflation systems are different.
Is different. So, for instance, if you're running tire balls with O-bore tires, you're going to be a different tire pressure than what I'm going to be running. Also, wheels make a difference too.
Yes.
If you're running a narrow wheel, you're going to run a different tire pressure. So, all that.
It's almost a loaded question.
You got to know the setup before you answer the question. Like, for instance, I know my setup, I know what it likes, and I know what tire pressures to run. Your setup may be a little different, but that's what I go to on my four-wheelers.
Yeah. Yeah, so it varies, but what you run in Alabama? 3? I think it was 3.
Yep.
So we
We
ran
knew the
3.
track was going to be a little bit slicker.
Yeah, so we ran 3 all the way around in Alabama. In Florida, I think you ran 4.5. I can't remember. I think it was 4.5. But so it varies.
Stiffens the sidewall up or soften the sidewall up as well. I mean, it lets the tire roll a little, bite a little bit different. All of it, the little bit of difference makes a big difference.
Yeah. So the second question is one of the viewers wants to know, in a muddy race, do you prefer tear-offs or roll-offs to protect your ice? This is in a muddy race. Do you prefer tear-offs or roll-offs?
In a muddy race specifically, I would go with roll-offs. Tear-offs, I will have a couple tear-offs on the roll-offs, over the roll-offs, but I will not specifically rely on complete roll-offs. I do run tear-offs for the first. I run 2 tear-offs most of the time when I do roll-offs. Now I do run tear-offs, but not often just by themselves. To be honest with you, I've always liked roll-offs just because it's always there and I always have it. Yes, it impales on the vision sometimes. It does take up some of the goggle vision, but I'd rather have the extra security of knowing I have a roll-off there.
Yeah. So I think like the other day we loaded your goggles with for what, 2 tear-offs?
Alabama started with 2 tear-offs.
2 tear-offs and then a full roll of roll-offs.
And I went through 1 pair of goggles the whole race, which it wasn't muddy. It wasn't.
I think we swapped them out just because of the pit stop.
We didn't even.
Oh, we didn't even change them. You're right. We didn't even change them out. So in that particular, which it wasn't muddy.
Specifically for a muddy race, I'd definitely go through probably 3 pairs of goggles, 2 or 3 tear-offs on each of muddy race, and then most of the roll. Even sometimes we just change goggles just because we want to keep fresh. Because mud gets in the canisters and can cause issues there too.
Yeah. Third question is so this viewer wants to know, so you ride and raced and still race YFZ 450s, which is a Yamaha Sport Quad, and then obviously you raced a 4x4 Renegade. This particular viewer wants to know, how do you like one over the other, or how do you do that, and then do you like one over the other?
So sort of kind of same question with the first one. It's a loaded question, but me personally, I like the Renegades up north. When you're racing up north on the Renegade, man, dude, they're just a blast. I don't know, just climbing over rocks, mountains, hills, the mud, stuff like that. It's a great time. Now, specifically in Florida, where I live, it is more fun to operate a YFZ 450. Just because the more mobility you have with it, we have sand whoops down here. It gets really rough. A Renegade is just, or a Can-Am, they're just not built specifically. It whoops.
And they're so heavy.
And they're so heavy compared to a 450. You can throw the 450 around a lot more in the sand whoops and just handles it better. The Renegades they're just difficult to handle through whoops and stuff like that. But we make it work, but it's not that's kind of my answer with there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really nothing more to it. Would I like the 450 up north? Sure, but me personally, the Renegade's just a blast up north. Yeah. I just enjoy it.
The follow-up question, Wanda asked a follow-up question to that. Are you faster on the 450 or are you faster on the 4x4?
Same thing. I would say I'm probably faster on a Renegade up north than I am on a YFZ. Down here, I'm faster on a YFZ than I am on a Renegade.
Yeah. So, all right, next question.
Conditions and track, all that plays a big favor. But I will say I'm probably more consistent on a 4x4, but on a 450, I can be fast. Just can't hold it for 2 hours.
So 2019, you're in XC2, and got a podium finish there in Florida or whatever. You only ran a few races. We just ran a few of those first races. So the next question is so we going back to your race. So this one viewer wants to know, and I left it for you. He wants to know, what in the world did you think on last lap? You got a 1.5 lead, minute 21. I can't remember exactly what it was. And you're just cruising. If you don't mess up, you're going to win this race in the inaugural race for Talladega and that kind of such. So here you come around a corner, and it's on the video. And it's on the video where you come around this corner, and the first thing you see is like quad sitting there. Obviously, it's a bottleneck. So you just start laying on the horn like the seas. In fact, one of the viewers said the seas parted,
Yeah.
and had one of the fellows, the officials, had to move his dirt bike out of the way so he could squish through. The bridge was broken.
Yeah.
So the bridge had broken. So what was your initial thought when you turned the corner? Here you are leading the race, possibly going to win the race, and you see that?
Not something you want to see when you're in the situation I was in. Last lap, leading the race, you do not want to see 40 heads and 40 four-wheelers sitting. Yeah, it's not something. There's something ain't right when you see that many. Now, a few you probably get around that kind of thing, but when you see that many, there's normally a big issue or something's going on. And obviously, I'm trying to get to the front to see what's going on here, because I know there's a bridge. I know what's going on. I know the bridge broke the previous lap, but I didn't know specifically what was going on. So I'm laying my horn in, and then people are moving out of my way. People are looking at me like I'm crazy and don't know what I'm doing. And they ended up moving one of the officials' dirt bikes out of the way because I had to get squeezed through. And I see what's going on when I'm getting up to it. So then I make a split-second decision to actually hit where the bridge was previously. They moved it to the left. If you slow down the GoPro, you can kind of see it all happen. But they moved the bridge over to the left where it looks like they were trying to make a pass through there. I actually went where the bridge was previously, and it was actually a wall on the other side. It looks like nobody really tried it. I don't know who tried it after me, but I ended up getting to the front getting to the front of the bottleneck and just going for it. And I made it up it. Not really a big issue, but man, dude, it was scary to see that.
It's scary being that.
I mean, my blood pressure spiked. Right? It was like, holy smokes! Like, I mean, you could ruin
a race. Yeah, your race.
You can ruin a race right here that you controlled the whole race, and you never know. The stuff like that, you just never know.
Yeah. So the next question is this viewer wants to know, how in the world do you get your quad to corner so well? I'm guessing he's probably watching some of the wide open sections that you were in. The quad was really turning. It looked like the quad was digging, that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of work to get it to do that.
It's a lot of setup.
A lot of setup. We work on that a lot.
The thing is, it takes a lot of time to get your shock set up for you. Obviously, I know kind of what I like, and so we get them here and we set them up. Everybody's different though, man. It's not like you could put my setup on and you're going to love it. You may have to change a few things. So everybody has a personal preference of what they like, but really we got the setup where we got the ride height where we want it. We got the width where we want it. We got the tires that we want on the fuller, and all that stuff makes a huge difference on how the bike will handle through whoops, through field sections, all that kind of stuff. And really, I feel like my fuller handles best out in like flat open field sections, and even like flat corners, stuff like that. My bike handles really well, and I've been happy with it. We're trying to get it better in other areas as well, but I've been very, very content with where it's at now.
Yeah, and the most of the time you got to give up in other areas to gain that. So it's a balancing act. We've learned that firsthand. So, all right. So another viewer wants to know, and you know this guy personally. So he wants to know if Brandon trains in the off season, or does he do teaching, or does he do classes? I have got this question a lot, and I get texts from people, and I know you do too. People would just like to, specifically 4x4s, specifically riders have reached out to me and been like, man, look, we would like for Brandon to just, we'd like to ride with Brandon a couple hours and just get him to train us. I know you do a lot of work with the children and the youth riders and that kind of stuff. But specifically 4x4 racers, they're asking me, do you do classes, or you want to try to do any of that, or what? Where are you at on that?
Yeah, so I haven't done any like 4x4 specific classes or anything like that. I don't do like very many riding schools or anything like that, but I would be willing to. I've never done it. Obviously, I know how 4x4 operates. I know how it works, that kind of thing. And I'd definitely be willing to teach somebody on anything they want to learn.
It might be a situation where, I mean, I know we got some riders out there that teach, but specifically 4x4s, I think it'd be pretty good. Some of these questions that they're asking, they want to know how your bike turns or what makes you get it to turn. Maybe you could show them, and that kind of stuff. So it might be something in the future you think about. Obviously, you're a pro rider trying to make a little bit of money trying to do this, and we're getting involved in some other stuff here just to try to combat some of the cost and that kind of stuff. But and mainly all for you. But the classes and writing schools, maybe that might be something you look into.
Yeah.
But that's in it. The other issue is pro racing is a full-time job.
Yeah.
And it does take a lot of work. Obviously, you train a lot, and your focus is on that. So these next couple of questions are sort of iffy, and I want to do another podcast on another time, maybe in the next week or so, one of these off weeks. But we got a viewer that asked that they're wanting to know what we do for bike prep before we leave, specifically anything, and then maybe race day, specifically right before you get ready to go to the start line. Is there anything that we're looking at, what we're doing? That kind of stuff is what he's wanting to know. Now, there is a time that I want to do a video, a podcast video on exactly what we do and how we do it, and maybe go through our checklist. We have a checklist of what we do and that kind of stuff. So this guy's wanting to know if there's anything specific.
Nothing specific. I mean, things like this weekend, I've done something a little different that I normally don't do. But we nut and bolt the four-wheelers before we leave out of here. But actually, I nut and bolted it again while I was at the racetrack Saturday morning. But nothing really like specifically I do. Obviously, we make sure all the batteries are charged. Make sure they're as charged as they can get. Obviously, fuel, air pressures. We do all that Saturday morning. Make sure the bike's ready to go. But there's all kinds of like little stuff for me, like personally, like we get our drinks all together. My goggles are all set up to ready to go. We kind of get a pit strategy going. But bike specific, I mean, nothing specifically, no. But
it's just
we just figure
everything's done before we leave.
I mean the bike's ready to go, or 99% ready to go before.
Every now and then we put some tape or something on it, but and then we're going to try to eliminate that too. But our goal and the way we've always worked is when it gets loaded, it's ready. Brandon did nut and bolt the thing the other. He grabbed a handful of tools just because it was it was jittery bug and that kind of stuff, and
do it and
just knock it out. But you didn't find nothing loose.
Nope.
So anyway, so we've done a pretty good job. That damn cable is still aggravating the piss out of us, and we didn't leave it loose. It worked itself loose because of an issue. But anyway, so we'll get into more of that later. Also, Zach asked sort of the same lines. He's wanting to know common issues with the 4x4 racing. Is there something that's a common issue that we keep seeing over and over? And then also, if it is there anything that we're doing to combat it? Are we trying to focus more on something that we see that's been happening and we're like, man, we need to address that?
To be honest, not really. These things are pretty indestructible.
Shocks right now we're really digging into.
Yes, I mean the setup specifically, we're trying to figure out how to get a little bit better. We're really good, to be honest. I feel like we're really good. But there's always like a feeling of being a little bit better. But man, I don't.
The biggest thing is
these things are, when we build them,
they're pretty indestructible.
They're pretty indestructible.
Now we'll tell you. So we just had a kid drop off one. Logan, we're getting ready to build Logan a new pro built 4x4.
Yep.
The main thing is to build it correctly to start with.
Yeah, I mean,
don't cut corners.
When they're brand new. They're brand new, getting tore down. We ride them out of the showroom floor and put them in our garage.
I think that quad's got 0.6 hours on it.
We tear them down.
Yeah.
They don't get ridden when they're stock. None of that. We tear it all the way down the frame, and we just build it the right way. And as long as you do that, man,
they're pretty indestructible.
Now, I will say, if you bought one stock and raced it stock, you can probably get it if you race it out of it, but you will have issues eventually. But these fours that we built, man, I could race probably 2 or 3 seasons on them and just upkeep them, and I don't see the four-wheel breaking.
And we've learned a lot, where the frames are breaking and that kind of stuff. And B&R and Gncc Racing, both of those guys, they got gusset kits, and we do a little bit extra on top of that. So I mean, it's, everybody's got a little different preference, but specifically right now, Brandon's working on some rear shock stuff. And I don't know if he wants to talk about it, but he can. It doesn't matter. Some rear shock stuff. So we've been having some issues with the rear shocks bottoming out and that kind of stuff. So we're trying to correct some of that.
Yeah,
the guys over at Gncc Racing, James, is spent a lot of time with him this weekend.
Yep.
And on the phone with him quite a bit. So he's really, really digging and working hard for us, and we're going to fix it.
Yeah, we're hoping to have, honestly, something before Camp Coker. We don't have anything in our hands just yet, but once we do, I'm sure we'll do some videos and stuff like that on it and see if it makes it better or not.
Yeah, so I know specifically that's the one thing that's wearing us out. Lenny, another viewer, Lenny wants to know, do you change like springs at different races, like for instance going from Florida to Talladega, and do you run air shocks? Are you changing the air in the shocks to go from race to race, or how much are you changing your setup from race to race and basically from terrain to terrain, or race to race?
So no, we do not run air shocks. We run springs on all four corners of the fuller.
They're oil-filled shocks, yeah.
So to be honest, no, spring rates stay the same on every fuller I have. So the spring rate we have on the bikes that we're running, they're all the same.
Are identical, the same on both of them.
We do not change springs at all. Now we will change, for instance, like the high speed and low speed. Sometimes we do adjust those depending on the racetrack. Not often though. Like the major racetracks we change stuff like that is, for instance, your Florida, your Camp Coker. The stuff that's rougher, that's a different terrain now, like your Beckley, that kind of stuff. Most of it, like snowshoe, all those races, we normally Ironman, all them races, we stay the same. So, like we don't change anything at those races, but like the rougher stuff, the different terrain, like the sand whoops, that's the main thing we try to combat when we run a rougher race, is mostly the whoops of the racetrack. We run a little bit different valving setting, but besides that, spring rates stay the same, all that.
Yeah. So you're not changing, what we are changing is like shock links and that kind of stuff, but for the most part, the rates, and that may start changing. We're focused on some different stuff, but all right. So then we've got one last question from your buddy Joey Ponte.
Oh, what's Joey?
Did you spend time with him today?
Me and him were actually riding today, and I ended up breaking something, and ended up having to quit mid-moto with his. He had to finish his 30 by himself, but yeah.
But yeah. So Brandon went riding with Joey Ponte today. He's a XC2 rider.
Yep.
And he's a top rider in Florida Trail Riders. They'll be racing this weekend.
Yep.
But Brandon went out and rode with him today, and evidently he must have saw my question or my speak out on Facebook, and he says, Joey says he wants to know if he can have your autograph.
Golly, Joe, you could have asked that today. I could have gave it to you today. No, Joe's a cool dude.
Joey's a good dude.
We've been riding. We've been riding quite a bit together this past. I don't know. I'd say 6 months.
Yeah.
And really got to know Joey more of in a personal way than rather than a riding way, and it's been cool because we hang out and we can ride together. We're very similar in speed, so it's very fun to have somebody out there like that.
And just take your Sharpie, and next time you go riding with him next week.
Yeah, I'll make sure when we ride next week, I'll bring a Sharpie.
Yeah. So Brandon, that was fun. That was 10 questions, okay? And we're already 37 minutes. We're already 37 minutes in, so I want to finish this up really quick. Yep. All right, no racing in the next couple weeks for us. We got a couple weekends off. We got projects going on that we need to get after.
Yeah, we're getting the race bike ready for Camp Coker. Obviously, now we will be doing some shock testing.
Yes.
But the bike specifically that we're going to be racing, which is the purple bike, we're going to get it race prepped and ready to go. We will just be doing the shock testing on the blue bike. Yeah. That's kind of our plan with that, I think. Just to kind of make sure the purple bike's ready, everything's nutted, bolted, and then we just throw the shocks on and call it a day. Yeah.
So we're going to be doing that. So I think next week what I want to do is, we do these things every Tuesday, and I'm going to try to get them all posted every night at Wednesday nights is when I want them to all post and come out on the podcast from Tuesday. But maybe if you guys got a topic you guys want to talk about in the downtime, you can. I've got some specific stuff I'd like to talk about, economics of running a pro ATV race team. And I don't know if you guys want to send in some questions. You're more than happy. If you don't mind, I'd be more than happy to get them and look at them and maybe ask Brandon or myself. But I want to just talk about the economics of racing the top tier series and also the elite level that Brandon is racing at. I think that'd be a good topic. And then I'm trying to get your mom to come on.
Shoot.
You know, one podcast.
That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, it will. I'll get her to do it. She loves me. So I want to get her. I'd like to do a podcast with Braden's mom. And I asked her some different things. And maybe she can turn around and ask me some things. I don't care. And that kind of stuff. I think it'd be fun. So going to be a little bit. So next week will be one of those kind of. It's going to be one of those kind of podcasts. The following week will be our week of Camp Cooker. Yep. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I'm sure we'll be doing some shock testing and all that, so we'll have a lot of information. But next week's going to be a fun week. So I want you guys got any questions, or if you guys want a topic that you want us to speak about, please send them in. But in the meantime, we got to get done and get out of here, and we got a lot of work going on here, Brandon, and I'm excited, really excited. I'm happy for you to get the win this past weekend at Talladega. I think it did a lot for our team and our morale and our confidence. You know, I think we've always known we could do it, okay? It's just that the confidence level has been a little low just because of, we just feel like we're always catching up here. And I still feel like that way. But we're working, man. You know, every day we come home from work, we're out here in the shop working and doing something, whether it be on the practice bike, on the race quads, that kind of stuff. And so we're always digging. You know what I mean? I come out here early in the morning time usually and get some stuff done on the motorhome, trailer, and that kind of stuff, which is another whole nother thing. I'm working on the trailer and doing some stuff for it. But anyway, anything else?
Yeah.
You're awful quiet after all that. I just talked to you. I just ramble on.
You just been rambling. Past 5 minutes.
Hey, Brandon, I told you we need to get out of here. 37 minutes and it's almost damn near 40.
Yeah, you just been talking, so.
All right. Well, listen, we appreciate you guys watching. You guys give us a like and a thumbs up and maybe do a comment and all that stuff. And we're on our way to 1,500 subscribers, which is very exciting. And I'm very excited about that. And, you know, we'll see you. We got some videos coming out. So we'll see you between now and then. All right. You guys take care.